So I am up in the French Alps. The highest top is Col du Galibier, and we are about 600 meters below that highest point. We drove up yesterday on top of Galibier, and yeah, it was the most scary thing I think I have ever experienced. And I wasn't planning on making a video like this at this moment. I was planning to make videos to, tell you a bit about myself, but maybe this is a bit about myself, because all the anxiety possible to bring up in a person was full on yesterday. Driving up to Col du Galibier yesterday, because the roads were narrow and there were like hairpin turns going across back and forth up that mountain, and there were no fences, nothing to stop people or cars or cyclists or anything to fall off the cliffs. And yeah, and then we survived. I've survived. My partner is an excellent driver, so I'm lucky, but I was on the verge of crying the whole way up. I was in tears and I was shaking. And then when we came up and then went down to, I'm not sure what it's called here. I know what it's called, but I don't know how to pronounce it. It's called Lorte or something. It's about 600 meters below the highest top of the Tour de France 4th stage in 2024. That's today, so we are going to watch that later today. But going back to yesterday, we needed to find a place to park, and we were planning to come earlier yesterday morning, but we got a bit delayed, so we were here about 2 o'clock and the place was packed full. I don't know if you can see some of the cars. We have parked behind me on top of yeah, I'm just holding my iPhone like this to maybe stop the wind to go straight into the microphone on the phone. And anyways, we had to find a place, and we found luckily a pretty nice place next to a fence next to the road. Everybody is parking next to the road, and it was a fairly big space, so we had no trouble backing into the space from going back. Everything was smooth. But then my second stage of anxiety kicked in, and maybe this is something that I am still struggling with from my childhood. That is a part of me, and that maybe it fits into the story I am telling on this channel. Because when I was a child, I am not sure quite how young I was. I think 7 or 8 years old. I was driving. I was out in the car with my dad, and he parked in not a very steep hill, but he parked in a sort of like an uphill parking place, and I think we were the only car at that hill. And he parked and he pulled the car brake, the one you brake, that stops the car from moving. He pulled it and he said, I just have to go into the shop, and then he closed the door and he went. What he didn't know was that the parking brake did not work. And he walked to the shop with his back turned to me, so he didn't see that the car was rolling back. And sitting, being that young, sitting in the back seat of a car that is rolling backwards, that really, it almost brings me to tears, telling you this and thinking back at that moment, because it was a complete sense of hopelessness. I did not know what was going, but I felt danger in all my bones in my body. It was, and luckily nothing happened, because the car stopped at sort of like a roadblock, maybe 6 or 7 meters behind. Nothing happened, but I was terrified, and my dad didn't recognize. He didn't see the fear that was put inside me. He tried to laugh it off, like many adults does, to try to minimize, the fear, the situation, and that, I think that was maybe the worst thing he could do, because we never spoke about it, but that has been in my body since. And then a couple of years later, I think I was in 2nd grade, so I must have been like 8 and a half or something. Yeah, 8 and a half, I think I was. Some neighbors, not the next door neighbor, but up the street, the mom had 3 kids. Her husband had died, and she took 2 of her kids, a 3-year-old and a 5-year-old, to go shopping at the what's it called, like next to the water, not a bridge, but like a parking space on top of the water, sort of. And there was a slight downhill from where she parked to the end of the, what is it called, like where you park boats. Yeah, if I remember, I will put the name on the screen. But there was this tiny downhill down to where the boats park. No boats were parked there, and she put the car brake on, and she had her kids in the back seat with seat belts on, and she walked to the shop. And the same thing happened to her that had happened to me a couple of years before. Luckily, I didn't, I survived. The car was fine, everything was fine, but she pulled the brake and she walked to the shop, and when she came back, the car was gone. It had rolled into the water, and both kids, the 5-year-old and the 3-year-old, had drowned. And what a feeling, for a mom. She had one more son, and both the son and the mom are, I think the son, he started using drugs. This was a terrifying experience for them. So I think he died about 10 years after of a drug overdose, and the mom is still alive, but she's an alcoholic. She does not cope well. And for me, since they were our neighbors and I had that fear and that feeling in my body, that experience was terrifying. And ever since, I am screaming inside every time we park in an uphill parking space. It's like I don't think I am going to die. I know I am going to die. That's the feeling. And it's so when we parked yesterday, my partner realized the parking brake didn't work, perfect. It worked, but not perfect. So he put some blocks under the front wheels to stop. First of all, to make the car more level, because it was a downhill parking place, but also to stop it from moving. And he put it in park. It's an automatic, not a manual gear, it's an automatic gear. So we put it in park, and he told me everything is fine, this will be fine. And he really tried to make me secure, make me feel safe, but I didn't. My body was shaking all night yesterday. Nothing helped. He was telling me, he was showing me, he was doing everything he could. Nothing helped. And actually, and I'm not proud to say this, but we went to the pub yesterday, and he said, well, have a glass of beer, just to take the edge off, because I was willing to do anything. I was willing to sleep outside the car. It was 0 degrees this night. I told him I will rather sleep outside the car than inside the car. But he said, have a beer, let's talk about this, calm down. And somehow I managed to I slept pretty well last night. I did. I am awake. I am okay. I still have that feeling, and I'm going to sleep in that car one more night in that parking space. I asked my partner that, because Tour de France is passing us today, so maybe a lot of the cars will move, so we can get another space. And he said, yeah, sure, if there are any available that you will feel more secure in, we can do that. But most likely everyone is staying till tomorrow, so we have to stay there, and I have to sleep one more night there. And this is I am a bit more calm today about this, because I knew I survived one night, but the feeling is there. And this is my story. This is my life. This is what bundles up inside me that I can't seem to get rid of. It pops up in a lot of situations, and I don't know how to cope. And now I can see that my partner is coming up. He is out cycling today, just to get his feet moving, and I can see he's coming down there. So I will close the vlog for now. Thank you for listening. I am grateful for being able to speak to you, even though I don't know any of you. Maybe no one watched this, but I have spoken it out, and I've told you about my fears. So thank you. And now I have to go back to the car and hopefully manage to film my partner when he's going past. He's in that turn now. Bye for now.